Listen, everyone, thank you so much for coming down. This is our May the 4th be with you. Chewbacca's in the lobby. Fantastic. First Monday, Startup San Diego. Love the presenters, love everything about it. Appreciate you coming down. My name is David Lowski. I'm on the board of Startup San Diego. Couldn't be happier to be part of the ecosystem, helping for Startup San Diego to be the front door of the startup ecosystem here in San Diego, kind of where to go, who to make friends with, who to talk to, that kind of thing. So we're very proud to be hosting this tonight or this evening. Our sponsors, the Inventors Patent Academy by Qualcomm. Big round of applause for them. Appreciate that. And also, I think it's our 3rd year in a row for ClickUp to share their space with us and host us here, which we very much appreciate. And we have some exhibitors outside along with Chewbacca. We've got the Inventors Patent Academy, TIPA, EyePop, Gaudio, Growth Partners, and Hopscotch. If you have a chance to talk to them, please do. They came and brought their wares, talking about the company. It's fantastic. We love the participation here. We've got a big event tonight, but also we've got a big one coming around the corner. Startup Week is November 2nd to the 6th. We've got programming from Startup Week. We've got community-driven stuff. If anybody here wants to put on an event, have some content, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to host you. Looking for big things for that Startup Week. Most importantly, the executive director of the organization, Lisa Barnhouse, is fantastic. She's been doing an amazing job getting these events together. We very much appreciate you. Thank you for all your efforts. She did the Chewbacca theme. She's done the Star Wars theme. She's got the t-shirt on. You're fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. So I have a present or a treat, a prize for the first person that can tell me what this is of the t-shirt I'm wearing. Who said it? You have won a beautiful embroidered Startup San Diego hat. Thank you very much. This is the bar, no droids.
That was very easy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very quick.
Okay, that was kind of fun. I love themes. Okay, yes, Startup Week is our big event. Just a reminder, our next first Mondays are August 3rd and December 7th. And we have a new program last Fridays. There are co-working days of the last Friday of every month. And we rotate around 4 different locations of our sponsor Downtown Works, and they're beautiful co-working spaces. Check it out. The best way to get involved and be a part of us year-round and the most cost-efficient way is through membership. For $365, you get access to everything. It's over $1,000 value if you bought everything a la carte. If you pay for something like mentoring or a ticket tonight and you want to upgrade your membership, we will give you a deal. Come see us. And tonight, over in the corner, so if you're facing Chewbacca, it's to the right of Chewbacca, to the right of the staircase, we're doing quick interviews about your startup or what you're building. We would love for you after this panel to go over there and do a quick on-camera interview. We would love it. So be a part of it all. We could not do this without sponsorship. Over 2/3 of our operating budget is from support, and we get our support from private educators, economic development folks, and it takes a village, and this is how the ecosystem works, and we're excited to put on these events. Thank you to our sponsors. Stay connected, follow us. LinkedIn, we've got over 13,000 followers. We are fun and try to stay engaged, and it's a great way to be a part of it all online. Without further ado, I'm thrilled to thank our sponsor, ClickUp, and bring up someone from ClickUp today, Holly Peck, one of the original OGs. Here we go. Holly, come on up, please. Thank you.
Awesome. So as the first speaker tonight, I hear you have to be funny. So I've prepared a 40-page slide deck. I'm just here to spend a couple minutes to tell you what is ClickUp. But every story needs a bad guy. And so as we go over here and we're looking at this bad guy, come on, tech is the great equalizer, by the way. You saw us working through the slides. So the big equalizer is that work is broken. And the reality is that everyone is going from tool to tool to tool to tool, documenting their work and never actually getting stuff done. In fact, the average worker has over 275 interruptions every single day, and I'm sure a couple of you are feeling your phone right now buzzing, and that's one of those interruptions, which has so many impacts as far as cost, efficiency, all those buzzwords that your COO and CFO and you yourself are very, very focused on. So that's where ClickUp comes into play. It's the one app, like the Fellowship of the Ring, all those together, they're coming together. It is the one app that replaces them all. It brings together your projects, your docs, your chats, your calendars, and brings in AI into the platform in a meaningful way. Everything all together, no context lost. So, go back here, we're thinking about that all connected together. So you're not pinging someone and saying, hey, where's that deck? Hey, where did we decide this? What's happening? Which is how it happens to me, at least in my former positions, many, many times of asking what's going on. And let's be real, just by a show of hands, how many of you are talking about, thinking about, implementing AI in your work? It's okay, be brave. I see like 5 of you raising your hands. Okay, there you go. And that's the thing, is with Claude, ChatGPT, OpenClaw, all of these things, these buzzwords that are coming at you, how do I incorporate that into my work in a meaningful way? And that's where ClickUp brings all of that together. It's not bolted on, it's built in to be able to do meaningful things with all the work that you already have connected there together. But best of all, it's pulling in AI agents, these teammates who are helping actually execute autonomously on the work, bringing all the pieces together. It takes away the busy work. Maybe it's the project manager that's surfacing blockers that are going on a daily basis. Maybe it's drafting content and replies for you, for your social media posts, or your LinkedIn content, or your blog posts, or any content you're creating. Or it's going through and saying, hey, no, not like that. It's QAing your work and helping hold you accountable and doing better. When we're thinking about that, we have seen thousands and thousands of teams utilizing ClickUp to get more done. They're seeing their work get done faster, more complete, and having that AI contextually stitching it all together to be more effective. And whether it be startups, that's the beauty of it. You know, I hear all these podcast ads for all of these. I mean, come on, they're targeting me with NetSuite. Like, that's not a beginner-friendly tool. And so when you're thinking about how do I move forward with tools that will work with me, whether I am one person hustling 24/7 or a large company who's bringing together thousands of employees, having a platform that works for your specific needs is so amazing. And then a little call to action, check us out, clickup.com. We do offer a free trial. You can check it out, no credit card required. We have tons and tons of use cases, people within the platform. Now, before I let go of the mic and I sit down, I just want to share with you, this deck was made with ClickUp.ai. I went and I opened ClickUp Brain. This is a feature that's coming soon. Y'all get a sneak peek, where I just opened the AI sidebar in ClickUp and I said, I am talking to the Startup San Diego group. I need to answer the question, what is ClickUp? I need to be able to show this in a meaningful way. I want to show some stats. I want to show some stories. And ClickUp Brain said, cool, I got you. And it made this full, beautiful deck that just played out quite nicely. So I didn't spend all my time setting all the images in there and saying, oh, I hope it works. I hope it looks good. But check us out. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
I wanted to do one more shout out. Thank you, David Losky, our chair. Shirley Yeager, would stand up and wave. She's on our board. She put together the panel and the program tonight. Wonderful addition to our board. And Chris Cunningham, one of the founders of ClickUp. Are you here?
He's not, but
He'll be here in a little bit. We can storm the gates then. Just wanted to give a thank you, and I'm going to call up Mike Sharp, our moderator this evening. Oh, sorry. Qualcomm TIPA, Breann Branch. Come on up. Sorry, one more word from our sponsor, who's the presenting sponsor tonight. So TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy, is a free resource. Really?
You're taking mine.
I'm taking your speech. Okay, here you go. Thank you for being here.
Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Breann Branch, but you all can call me Breann. I'm very excited to be here. I am from Los Angeles, California. My dad grew up in San Diego and Linda Vista. Who knows where Linda Vista is? Yeah! Okay, I feel like I'm at home now. But I'm honored to be here. I'm representing the Inventors Patent Academy, which is a free online resource for learning about how to do inventions, how to make inventions. And so I'm a qualitative researcher. I've done projects with Qualcomm to get more women and people of color and everyone a part of invention, because invention is for everyone, is it? Yeah. Okay, amen. Okay, so I do want to just shout out the researchers and educators that came up with this course. It is Qualcomm and also Invent Together, which is a nonprofit. And some really smart, brilliant people. Like I said, I am a qualitative researcher. My major was speech communications. So that is mine. I'm a social scientist, but we have some really awesome scientists and educators that came up with this course. And the purpose is to demystify what the patenting process is. That's one of them. Also, it encourages IP protection. And it has been implemented all over the world. Here in the U.S., in India, and Africa, and in India, Africa, and other countries around the world. And so we have about over 4,100 signups. My particular goal and assignment is to get startups like you, individuals like you, schools, colleges, universities, to get more people just to sign up. The course takes you through, like I said, a real life situation of how you begin to invent. So please put your phones up. Scan the QR code. I'm going to end with 2 stats that I think is great for this group. So with patents and small businesses who have patents or startups that start with patents, they grow their sales more than 80% compared to those startups who don't. Also, IP increases startups' likelihood of going public, securing funding, getting acquired, and also securing loans. So this is a great free resource. It's free, and we have multiple other courses that were just launched. That's about a quicker course, a 90-minute course. So even if you're not interested, you may know someone who's interested in really starting to get involved with patents. Please see me and my colleagues after. We're at the TIPA table. Thank you.
I love presenting the resources that are deep and rich and free.
Great.
Okay, so I want to bring up our moderator tonight. He's CEO Mike Sharp. Come on up, he's right here. Thank you for helping us out. You did a great job conducting the panel, and we appreciate your time. It's very valuable, and welcome.
Thank you, happy to be here. So this is going to be a fun panel. We have some really accomplished and really smart people here in San Diego. And 3 of them have graciously agreed to come up and be part of this panel. So I'm going to start by introducing, actually before I bring them up and introduce, we will have kind of structured questions for about 40 minutes. We'll plan on about 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. So be thinking of what you want to ask, otherwise I have to dig deep into my 3rd string questions, and none of you want that. So be thinking of what you want to add at the end. We'll start here by bringing up, and we'll just have you go 1, 2, 3. We'll start by bringing up Andy Ballester. Andy Ballester. Andy is co-founder and chief product officer at EyePop.ai and was a co-founder at GoFundMe, a category-defining platform that raised over $40 billion. He is currently focused on turning images, video, and live stream into actionable data, and recently demoed a voice intelligence agent at the 2025 Snapdragon Summit. Thank you, Andy. Our next panelist is Venkat Rangan. Venkat is a maker and a builder, and he's the CEO and founder of tinyVision.ai and an alumnus of Qualcomm. An early voice in the on-device intelligent trends since 2018, he specializes in edge, embedded, and FPGA vision, building tiny systems on modules. Thank you, Venkat. And finally, we have Ramesh Rao. Ramesh is the Senior Director of Technology and Product Management at Qualcomm. With a career spanning the commercialization of CDMA, UMTS, and LTE, he now focuses on supporting startups globally, helping to enable thousands of founders through Qualcomm's development ecosystem. Thank you, Ramesh. So as we start tonight, and if it's possible to get the projector off so it's not shining in our eyes, that'd be lovely. But as we start tonight, just a quick show of hands. As we think about where you are innovating and the startups and the businesses that you're doing, if we looked at a split of hardware versus software, raise your hands if you're doing work primarily in software. Okay? Raise your hands if you're doing work primarily in hardware. Okay, so it looks like about a 3-to-1 ratio. And raise your hand if you're doing work in something else entirely. All right. Almost as many something else entirely as we have hardware. I'm not sure, for those of you that are in something else entirely, we'll do our best. But this is mostly about how AI is impacting the work that we do as leaders, product and technology leaders, in both software and hardware. So we'll start with our first question for the panelists today. I want you all to finish this sentence for me. In 2026, the biggest lie founders tell themselves about AI in their build process is, we'll start with, go ahead, Andy.
Sure. Yeah, I think that the biggest lie founders tell themselves when I talk to founders out there in startup, San Diego startup scene and other places is that it's a stand-in for knowledge about your customer. I find that you can do a lot of research with AI, but there's a lot of research you just have to synthesize from real people and real customers.
Yeah, so not a replacement, but a support. Yeah, augmenting. Yeah, great. Venkat, biggest lie.
So I think some of the things that I'm also guilty of is that the ChatGPT and whatever will solve all your problems for you and it will be perfect, and that the timelines that you expect out of it are going to be really short, right? I think the expectation is so high even among people experienced working with these things that you kind of like to lie to yourself in some sense. I think that's one of the issues with AI is also that you think you know a lot more than you really do.
Talking with startups, talking with different founders, one of the things I see them being confused about is they think AI is the product. AI is not the product. AI is probably an element of the, or an ingredient of the product. And it has to be really ground well and mixed well and compiled well, and it has to be kind of processed entirely, right? Going back to everything that was said before, just shipping and thinking about AI as the final product is probably one of the biggest fallacies I've seen from a lot of these founders.
I love it. All good insights. You keep it. As we think, so we'll go to some individual questions here. We'll start with you, Ramesh, since you have the mic. From the chip and technology side of Qualcomm, what does building faster with AI look to you? And how is Qualcomm making it easier for small teams of startups to do really interesting things and things that are real on Snapdragon?
Okay, first let me talk about what building with AI is, right? It is, to me, it's actually how can I reduce the time from when I have the idea to when I can actually build a real prototype, a real functioning prototype that does everything that I want. So we can look at it many ways, right? From a Qualcomm Snapdragon perspective, what we are trying to enable is anyone can bring any model, whether it's PyTorch or TensorFlow or Onyx or whatever format or frameworks you have. be able to take that and run it on silicon, which is Qualcomm silicon, and be able to do something in a matter of hours or days, and not have to basically make that a 3-month process or a 6-month process. So with that in mind, we are doing a lot of things to actually enable founders, startups to take advantage of a lot of our tools. So one of the biggest problems we've seen with AI is, with AI products, is founders often think about the end product they're building, and actually the problem is not in the model. It's not so much in the accuracy. That is okay, it's given, you will build on it, you will iterate on it, you'll converge on the right solution. That usually does not become the limiting factor for the smaller startups. The problem is actually when you try to implement that on silicon and you get the performance that you want, right? Whether you have the right latencies, whether you have the right memory, whether you have the right peripherals, whether you have the right pipelines that you've chosen. So all of these go into actually making that happen. So how do we as Qualcomm enable a startup to take something that you have in terms of an idea and get it onto a working prototype? So we offer recipes, we offer sample codes, we offer tools. And one of the biggest profiling tools that we offer to actually get to silicon performance and actually be able to measure real performance on actual platforms is basically something on AI Hub. You can basically quantize a model, bring your own model first, quantize it, and basically compile it, look for the performance measurements, look for the token rates, look for the time-to-first tokens, look for the thermals, look for the power. All of that can be measured, and this is real data, right? So you don't have to get too far away from what you're expecting. So if you know that you're not at the right point, you iterate and come back again. So this iterative process takes a long time, but we're trying to make it faster and something more predictable to measure on real product, right? So these are virtual devices, you don't even need to have the hardware, but a lot of this profiling is going to help you make and accelerate your entire loop of building that product.
Awesome. So Ramesh will be around afterwards. The AI stack is really deep, right? So if you're in the part of the stack where you want to talk to Ramesh about bringing your models and running them on custom silicon or on Qualcomm silicon, he'll be available afterwards, and you probably know who you are. So if that's you, come up afterwards. Let's go to a different side, kind of more about the SaaS standpoint. We have Andy over here. Andy, you started GoFundMe in 2010. And you've done some really cool things from a software standpoint there. Can you share with the group here, what are some things that if you were founding GoFundMe today, which parts of your process would compress? Which parts of building would compress because of AI? And which parts would still feel about the same?
Yeah, and so, thinking about that, I think the knee-jerk reaction I have is like, oh, well, the beginning part that took us 6 months to go from idea to MVP, could that have been a day? No, it couldn't have been a day. That's too short of a time. There are real human learnings you go through, and the iteration on a new product. There's some things you need to do there, and just get used to your new product and use it as a user. And so, could we have collapsed that 6 months to a month? We probably could have. And so we probably could have gotten out there a little sooner. But then to kind of tell a little bit about the beginning of GoFundMe, it was my co-founder and I, so just 2 people. And so actually, AI could have helped us quite a bit with a lot of the processes we had at the time. But we had 4 years of really just figuring out how to deliver this product in a way that made sense at the time. And even beyond our product, and I think we made our product really easy to use, and I have some metrics on why I think that's true, but we had this one glaring issue in our product, and that was the payment rails at the time. And so we did not find a partner, and this was kind of early fintech. When we started, it was 2008, and we switched to GoFundMe just in name only in 2010. And so in 2008 to 2012, the fintech game is just very different, and we really didn't get around to that and become profitable until until we fundamentally were able to change that with one of our partners, WePay, which acted as like a Stripe layer. If we had Stripe, oh, we could have gotten there much faster. But no, so that part, I don't think that 4 years would have condensed a lot. There was real learnings that had to happen there about learning about who our customer is, how they want to pay, how the payments flow through the current fintech rails at the time. But then I think about after that, when we had product market fit, we were profitable, we were building the team, there were so many things we deprioritized. And I think one of the things that made us such a force to be reckoned with was how well we prioritized the next feature. And so I do worry we would have lost a little bit of that prioritization. If we could build a lot of things, we would have tried to probably build a lot of things instead of focusing on what mattered. So I think there's a little bit of discipline that is necessary in the new AI age of I can vibe code something overnight. And so, but yeah, no, we could have iterated a lot faster once we had product market fit, and who knows?
So in this timeline view,
Yeah.
the discovering product market fit,
Yeah.
your perspective is not too much acceleration there. Like you got to learn what you got to learn.
Yeah, especially for us, there were externalities. We weren't going to build fintech rails as two people in a garage that weren't venture backed. That was not in the cards for us, even with AI. And so I think those externalities can sometimes hold you back, even in times where you want to go much faster because of AI.
Yeah, I heard this phrase, not original to me at all, but this is a great time to be a builder, fantastic time to be a builder. But it's never been easier to build software nobody cares about. And so that early phase of really grinding it out and figuring out what's going to matter to your market, what's going to actually make a difference and motivate a change in people, that still takes a lot of doing. Awesome. Let's go to you, Venkat. So AI has made writing software so much faster. So that's been my experience in my business as well. I have 3 developers. I've been in product my whole career. I feel like they're rocking at the pace of like a 30-person team today. But as we think about hardware, is that true for hardware? What parts of the tinyVision dev cycle have actually compressed for you, and what parts are still kind of bounded by physics and silicon?
So I think hardware is fundamentally the cycle times are extremely long, because to build something, firstly to create it, then you build it, and you get it back, debug it, and then that cycle you have to go through it a couple of times before you get something that you can sell, right? So it's a very long cycle. Add to that, this is something that I've discovered doing this also, is companies typically, the hardware buying cycle is much longer than software. For software, people are able to decide in no time, and they get enabled with very little barrier, right? It is like, send a PO out, it shows up, it is just there. For hardware, companies are very reluctant to really place a purchase order, because first you need to convince their engineers, then you keep going up the chain, and then they worry about, oh, you're this little company, what happens if you go out of business? Our product is affected. Right? So there's a lot of other stuff that comes along with hardware that it's really the way of the world, I think. It's part of doing business. Is as a business, you have to look out for your supply chain. Your supply chain gets affected, and that is very challenging. So to be able to predict that, especially with all the changes happening nowadays, prices are just going up and down, tariffs come on and off, and you don't know where your product is. So there's a lot of challenges. Now, in terms of what AI has helped us, is really at the design cycle stage. There are, specifically in hardware, we have to do design reviews, right? That's something that if you miss even a little thing in a design review, you could end up with a full cycle, a design cycle. And that's where we are really seeing the benefits of AI. We're using some of the AI tools. I'm happy to talk to you about some of these if you are doing it. And where it's just finding bugs, right? All that, right? So that's another area where we are actually using some of these AI tools and helping us schedule things properly.
Sounds like some of the things that you were doing anyway, but just having to keep track of, and perhaps not getting to all of them, you're able to do, kind of extend horizontally, increase your breadth with those tools. That's great. That's great. Well, let's go back to Ramesh, and let's talk about from an ecosystem standpoint. One of the unique parts about your role and your experience is you get to see thousands and thousands of companies building on Qualcomm silicon. What's the pattern that you see in startups that actually ship versus that just spin and ultimately fail?
That's a good question. So clearly, there are differences between the successful startups and the not so successful startups, are the ones that are not able to survive beyond the prototype stage, are not able to get a customer, etc. A couple of traits that we observe with the successful startups. They are the ones who have a very clear definition of the product, of the problem that they are trying to solve. It's something that is very unique. It is something that is very relevant to the local market, and something that they've done a lot of studies on to define that solution. I think that's primarily one of the things that we've seen as a major indicator of success. If they have a use case defined, if it is novel, if it is something that they can potentially guard with or protect with an IP, that gives them a very, very solid chance of success. Both monetarily, it is very sustainable. They get a lot of good looks from the VC communities. They are able to take advantage of whatever performance gains they're able to produce, etc. All that is built into this concept of a clear use case solving a local problem. So the other thing that we've seen is if somebody who is sitting in Africa is trying to develop a product for, let's say, Taiwan, it doesn't work very well, right? So we always look for something that is going to serve the local market, because they have the best understanding of the local market scenario. What is the problem that they're trying to solve, etc. So that, I would say, is probably the most prominent indicator. The second thing that we've seen is how do they treat the problem that they're trying to solve, right? Are they trying to just solve it as a spot solution, or something that they're trying to look from an end-to-end scenario? So I think anything with AI, ML is a systems game. It's not just hardware, it's not just software. It's a combination of being able to attain the right performance at the right levels that can actually add value to that use case, right? Just doing something that says it works is not acceptable, or it's not an indicator of success. So just because they do a demo is no indication that the product is good. The third one is actually can they actually do a sustained performance looking at real world scenarios, right? They can do a demo, great, prototypes work in one particular environment, but can it be sustained across a variety of different environments? Can they take all the extremities into consideration, right? Can they look at all the different parameters and still be able to survive, right? Okay, what happens when some extreme case is encountered? Can it still solve the problem? Can it attain the same level of performance? So, in short, I think the solution needs to be properly chosen, and the problem needs to be solved to hit all the right performance levels. I think that's probably the best indicator of success. Beyond that, I think the success factor could be also the pedigree of the founders, right? What they've done before, what track records they have, how innovative they've been in previous solutions, etc. That really helps from an angle of looking at the success parameters.
So repeat founders get to do it on easy mode, and for the rest of us, get close to your customers, understand them, think from a systems perspective.
On an easier mode rather than easy mode.
Excellent, thank you, Ramesh. Okay, let's do another hardware one with Venkat. You founded tinyVision in 2018 on the idea that intelligence belongs on the device at the edge and not in the cloud. Since then, a lot of things have changed. 7 years later, frontier models are getting bigger and bigger. Do you think that that thesis still holds? And what's your view today of the case for edge AI in 2026?
I think the thesis still holds. Here's why. Because what edge devices, right, the stuff you have in your phone, everything is energy limited. That is one. You need performance. So you want to push as much performance as possible. The cloud is going to be there. You have bandwidth limitations. You can't keep sending stuff over because it costs energy to send it, to receive it, and to store it, and dealing with all that. There are other issues like privacy. Right? I don't want stuff going out. I have no idea where it's being stored, what's happening. All that is being collected. It's not really driving too much at this point, but I think that is going to become a little more critical. There are other issues like latency. I mean, you can't expect to drive a robot around if it's going to be talking to something on the cloud. Right? There are many such applications which are very, very latency sensitive. Industrial application and home applications too, right? So it is really a balance of a lot of different factors. How big is a battery? How much can you afford? Do you want a small device? How often is it going to come on? So there's a lot of trade-offs that go into building into this decision of how much intelligence is on the edge devices versus the cloud. And that's going to keep changing. Every single application is going to be a different balance.
So kind of a continual wrestle as you balance those different factors.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I can add one more thing to that.
I think latency, privacy, immediacy, contextualness, personal information, all that is great. I think one thing that really has come very strongly back as feedback for us is the cost, right? The cost factor is something that is going to push more and more inference to happen on device. The tokenization aspects, the amount of energy spent on these cloud servers, etc. Right? I mean, cloud will persist. It's not going away anywhere. But I think more and more the cost factor will push things back to on-device, on-prem solutions, and that is something that is going to go inevitably in the same format as everything else before. Right? It started with the mainframes. It came to the PCs. It started with the electrical, went the same way. A lot of the phenomenon that we've seen in the last 20, 30 years have basically gone this way. So this is also not going to be different. It will start with the cloud for the training pieces, but then it will potentially exist in real world on device, and maybe a combination of both of them in a hybrid mode too.
And really the whole definition of edge itself is vague, right? It's like, is your watch an edge device? Is your phone an edge device? Is it your little tracking thing that's an edge device? So it is a continuing, even there, in terms of what is devices. Yeah.
We've also seen this real trend recently of things that you could only do with expensive remote frontier models are now trivially solvable with local models. And I don't think that trend's slowing down anytime soon. Well, let's take one more individual question here, back to software. And so Andy, you've had a lot of experience as a chief product officer, chief product and technology officer in SaaS applications. When your engineers come to you today with a cursor or Claude-generated PR that works, how has your review process changed? And what are you looking for today that you weren't looking for 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think that has two different contexts. And so I love it when an engineer or designer or somebody else in the company comes to comes to me and say, hey, I have this thing I've been working on, and it is essentially a hackathon product, right? And so like hackathon products, we used to have to hold hackathons, take half a day, sometimes more than that for the company to actually get this kind of work done. And now we're seeing it more and more just happen spontaneously because the cost of development and the effort of development to build a proof of concept has gone down dramatically. And so I actually see this a lot more now, which I love. Now, when I evaluate can we use this in the product or not, that's where you have to take a look at it with a grain of salt and say, does this belong in our product? Does it solve a real customer problem? Is this a customer problem that we've seen? Do we have other sort of roadmap items that are slated to solve this customer problem? And so those types of questions are things that we ask from a product level, and then from a technological level, I do get nervous still when I see a PR being just a massive wall of code and lots of systems have been rewritten, because we wrote our systems intentionally. We wrote interfaces between our systems very intentionally, and to undo that for one kind of like big PR is not an architectural pattern we'd like to keep up in software. And so I think it like agentic coding, yes, we use it all the time. Everybody has at least a co-pilot, if not using agents to help them do their projects. But certainly we want to make sure that it works well together. And we're at this point 8 people. And even with 8 people, 8 separate agents running around and doing their own thing can lead to some tech debt and maintenance problems. And so we want to be intentional with that. So you own your own code in our setup. And so if you're going to be the one to maintain that code over time, and you can sign your name to that, then yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Awesome. Well, we're going to do maybe 2 speed rounds. Okay. So we'll do in 10 seconds or less. Name one AI tool or workflow you use every week that isn't ChatGPT or Copilot or Claude Code, and what it actually solves for you.
Yeah, mine is really practical. In that intersection between product design and technology, and I end up having to make a lot of charts for people. And one tool that I found extraordinarily helpful, it's not just an AI tool, but is Mermaid Chart. When you connect Mermaid Chart to an agent, it's pretty magical. It saves me probably hours and hours a week of trying to chart out how does information flow through a system. How does this system connect to another system? The ability to do that is amazing.
If you want to see Mermaid, you can go to docs.dialstack.ai, because we use Mermaid Chart in our public-facing documentation, and agree, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Venkat?
So I'm not sure if this is, so I don't know if I use it every week, but I like to consult, so there's Dalio AI that I consult for my business kind of questions, because I'm an engineer, I think like that, I don't have the brain of a business person. So I kind of rent out the business person that way.
And what was the name of that again, one more time?
So this is Ray Dalio. I like to follow his writings, and he's kind of cloned himself in some sense. Just go and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? And that's really helped me a lot.
Excellent. Ramesh?
I use more of the conventional tools, Gemini, Copilot, and Claude Work is probably the other fun thing that I do. So that's probably my experience. Of course, it definitely helps. I usually run the same query with multiple AI agents just to see how it behaves and what answer best suits me. Because many times what I see is basically it actually tries to please me with the answer, which I try to not entertain too much. So I kind of try to put one against the other and see what it does.
Nice. Okay, I have one more round of questions, but let's look out here. Just if you think you have a question you want to ask the panel, just give me a quick hand just so I can see how many questions we may have. 2 questions, 3, 4. Okay, good, they're coming up. All right, let's do one quick one, and then we'll go to questions. So closer. The audience tonight here is mostly early stage founders and engineers. If they do one thing different in their business tomorrow as a result of this conversation, what would you encourage that to be?
Yeah, from my perspective, from what we do, I think a few different things. Use our tools, right? One of the things is basically all the tools that you have at the disposal. Treat the problem as a systems problem. Go through a lot of iterations of real device performance, give value to performance and tuning very early in the equation. Don't consider that as an afterthought. I think those would be my suggestions. And then all the other courses that we have and the trainings that we have are also other good places to start. I'm happy to share that separately with anyone who wants to know more about those things.
So, yeah, for anybody thinking of building hardware, I would suggest, even though I'm a hardware guy, I would suggest thinking very carefully about it, because the cycle times, like I mentioned, are very long. It gives you a huge moat if you succeed, but it's a long journey, right? So be prepared for that.
For software folks, I assume you're already using a lot of agentic processes in what you're doing. If you're not, figure out whatever time suck that you have for some dumb thing that you do every day or that your team is doing every day, and definitely fix that. There's a lot of things you can automate now, but assuming that you're already doing that, I think the thing I run into with founders the most when I talk to them is they don't have good processes by which they're measuring their agents. And so whatever your most productive agent is, figure out the right way to measure that on a real-time basis and throw that measurement up into a spreadsheet or a web page or something and watch it all the time. That's something that there's model drift, there is use case drift that happens over time, and agents that we were running in December are not the same now because we measure them all the time, and they're not, when they don't perform, you've got to switch them out. You've got to know that they're not performing. And so the measurement, I think, would be the strongest call to action there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So 3 really great, really accomplished leaders in technology, software, hardware. They're going to be around for a little bit after we're here. So if you want to talk about chasing product market fit and that early grind, if you want to talk about on-device, custom hardware or not, you want to talk about anything related to Qualcomm silicon or anything around their innovation Inventor work, come find them afterwards. So let's give a round of applause to our panelists and we'll take some questions.
Quick interruption before we click over to Q&A. We have one of the founding members of ClickUp, Chris Cunningham. Do you mind coming out and giving a few remarks? So we have everyone's attention. We'll give you back the mic.
Hello, hello. Yeah, my name is Chris Cunningham, and I just want to say something real quick because I was really excited. There's a lot of moments where I felt like, man, we've kind of made it with this whole ClickUp thing. I've been there since day one. I remember we were drawing the logo, trying to figure out how we're going to make it, how we're going to win in a crazy crowded space like project management versus companies like Asana, Jira, Monday. And the moment for me was not when we had our first billboard. It was not when we did a Super Bowl commercial. That was fun, Steph. You remember that? Yeah. To me, it was actually when we got this office. To me, it was the moment when I saw them put the letters and put ClickUp on this office here. That's when I felt like, okay, we've done something. This is cool. We have a home. We can do events like this. We can bring in so many employees. We can employ so many people. That was a cool moment for me. And what I want to say for all you is I remember being a small startup. I don't know what size all you companies are, but ClickUp at one time was just 3 or 4 people with a couple contractors, just wondering if we were going to make it. Fighting giants, right? Like going in a space where most people had millions on millions on millions of funding. And we had, a little money that we made in an agency, and we kind of self-ran it ourselves. And we built the company ourselves. We built it up to 17 million ARR before we even raised funding. So it's not like we got funding early. It's not like we did any of that. We hustled, we moved fast. So I just want to leave you guys with a few things I think really helped us in the early days. We didn't have AI, that would have been nice. So obviously utilize that where you can. But the first one for me was staying scrappy, right? And I'll give you a quick example of that. For us in the early days, there was no way to get leads. We had 0 leads. No one knew who ClickUp was. No one cared, right? But what I did was I had our team, our geniuses, I'm the talker. We had our geniuses build a tool called AppGator. What AppGator would do is it would go through and look at all of our competitors. Anytime someone left a bad review on G2, on Capterra, on any of those sites, we'd be notified right away. So they left a 2-star below, we'd be notified. I could hit them up, I could find them on LinkedIn. And I could say, hey, I get why you hate Asana, I hate them too. That's why we built a tool to compete with them, right? And I could get a call, I could get a demo, I could get them on. And that's how we got a lot of early leads. The second thing we did was, we were stalking all the Facebook groups. Like you name it, anyone out there, anything out there going with project management, we were in there. And we heard about a tool called Productive, and they were shutting down. And they were not building an export. So imagine having all of your work and all of a sudden being told, it's going to disappear, we're doing nothing about it. We don't care, your work's gone. So our CTO stayed up late, we ordered a bunch of Chinese food, and he built the export within like a day and a half. And so all these customers are going to lose all of their work, all their business. We came in, popped into Facebook group, said, hi, we built an export, we'll take all of you now. And those are 2 big moments that really changed ClickUp history, that really jumped in. Secondly, I would say hire well. Hire well early on. Find people who are scrappy, find people who want to work. back then we had a tool called Praxis where we'd find kids who were in like high school or college but didn't really want to finish. So just find any talent who wants to work in and die with you. And as you grow, don't feel like you just need to hire from these big companies. Because even now we have funding, we have tons of funding, but some of our best hires came from Home Depot and random other jobs you'd never guess before they came in. So don't always think you have to hire someone from FANG or these, Google, Facebook, all these major companies. You don't really have to. You can find hungry people who want to hustle. Now with AI, oh my gosh, you can find people who are really leaning into that. So those are some tips I want to give. If you have any questions, I'll be around as well. But I'm pulling for you all. I want everyone to win. I think there's a lot of money still to be made. I wouldn't be afraid of AI. I'd lean into it. I think we have one of the most cool situations of all time. It might be the last gold rush. I don't know. But even us, click up at our size, we're having to adapt. We're having to adjust. Our investors are asking us, hey, okay, revenue is great, but how much AI revenue do you have, right? So we're adjusting in the same game you are. But I think it's a fun time. As long as we lean into it, let's rock. Thank you all for being here.
Okay, so we've got 10 minutes for questions. So let's see, what do people want to know from our panelists? There?
So my question would be I'm a graduate student, and also right now I have several offers. So I have some from AI company, but also in a big corporation. But I knew AI is growing super fast. So right now my question is, should I just step into the AI industry? Well, I don't really know anything about AI, or I should go for the corporation, and after probably several years later, I can get into AI, or if it's too late.
So repeat just so the whole group can hear. So recent graduate or about to graduate,
yes.
Multiple offers. Does she go work for an AI-focused company, or does she go work for someplace else and learn AI that way? Software or hardware?
It's a software.
Andy, you want to take that one?
Sure. I think that there is value in being where the market is right now, which is there is still money going into AI, but also there's going to be a correction amongst AI companies, and so I think about AI companies, or all companies, there's companies that are using AI in a way that more AI, better, they win. There are companies that it has nothing to do with the AI in there. They're immune to the AI situation, and it's usually based on brand. I actually think GoFundMe is one of those things. It's human interaction and it's brand. And then there are companies that are going away as we get into AI, and so you don't want to be a part of those if anytime they add apocalypse to your vertical, it's not a great sign, and so you want to go into a place where you think there's longevity but also where you want your career to go, and so I think that would be my suggestion there.
Great, thank you. So another over there, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for Andy. I thought I have to do like a fresh introduction about EyePop and what you've been doing and maybe recent developments and progress.
Yeah.
So can we do 20 seconds on
20
that?
seconds, okay, all right. So EyePop.ai is a computer vision platform. Computer vision is AI looking at images, video, and live stream, and what you want out of that media is you want structured, actionable data. That can be really hard to get to, especially if you have low latency or hardware concerns. And so we run in the cloud, we run on-premise, we run hybrid. You can compose different models together from our library to make a really easy workflow in the vision space. And our latest product, we just launched in January. You could do all this. Instead of custom model training, you do it from a prompt. And so that's what we have been doing. And so if you have anything that you need to know out of image, video, live stream, events, objects, conditions that are happening in there, come talk to us.
All right, what else do we have? In the back, yep.
Hi, this is for Andy. When you was building your money company, it was in that time like such a niche. So how did you find those first customers for that niche specifically, and then how you can grow it up?
Yeah, so I think the question was, what was our original kind of go-to-market and how do we identify early customers for a new sort of vertical we were creating? And fundraising has been around since money has been invented, and so we knew we had a very deep held belief that if we could make that a lot easier for folks, and when we started in 2008, it was very hard to transmit money to peer-to-peer, and it got easier over time, but still there is an orchestration that you need on top of a group of people. And so In the early days, it was all about finding how to raise money for X. And it's how to raise money for schools, how to raise money for my church, how to raise money for my kid going to camp. Those were all the types of search intentful terms that we would look at and we'd see where do those people, where do they live online, and we'd go and talk to them, hey, we have a new way that we'd love for you to test out to how to raise money.
All right, do we have a question for Ramesh or Venkat? Yeah? Go
I
ahead.
have a question on security and privacy in AI. So I build financial models that get venture-backed companies funded. I use Claude obviously for a lot of templating. It's a phenomenal add-on to Excel. But I'm very hesitant to put real client data through Claude because of the security and privacy concerns. So my question is, should I be concerned? Or how safe and secure is that information?
Yeah, so client data and it all depends on how obviously you said it's proprietary data that you're trying to protect from putting on the cloud. So there are other solutions that you can possibly think of that can do this. There are like solutions, I can talk to you separately on this one, but Edge Impulse has a solution where they have a local system where you can actually use that to host the data and basically run models on that data to train it on that data set. So there are possible mechanisms like that. On-prem is another one which probably gives you a little bit of the same kind of a protection in terms of not exposing your data on the internet or putting it on a common cloud. But again, there are a few different options to choose, but again, it depends on the data and what you're exactly trying to do with it and how you're trying to use Claude to access that data.
Within the next 6 to 9 months, anything that you can do on a frontier model, you are highly likely to be able to do on a local model. So it's moving so quickly. Another question for Venkat or Ramesh? Yeah.
I'm not to ask, but it is regarding the slowness. Like once we are on hardware and we are putting AI, I want to come there and then can I talk there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just
everybody will be. Yeah. Just. So when we are building hardware, you said that by the time we build AI will come. Put it to your mouth. Oh, okay. When we come and do AI, and if we are on a hardware, it catches and then it will go. We are stuck with the hardware and the AI. So in this, we all have the same dilemma. We are all startups funding AI hardware, This is all our dilemma. Where to put money, whether to use the external AI or to use our own LLMs. We have hardware, clouds, and anything. 10 things on the stack. Ultimately, even if we are building a successful, product, how do we market it? Because when we say that we have AI product, people say we built our own. So how do you differentiate? So there are 10 things that are happening. So to cover, whether we touch AI or SaaS or for raising funds, today we have a very good team here who are only hardware. But everybody has a question whether I should use Claude or not. Claude is solving the problem or coding it, but the idea is ours. We own the idea. That was Sir said. Good idea, good idea is we own it, but Claude is developing it. And how do we differentiate whether he has a problem? I don't want LLMs, internal LLMs. Then again, which training model is not easy. It is a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. So there are so many questions that one has to ask. No, what I'm saying is, if you have questions, you have to talk to the experts individually. And there are tons of solutions that I'm not a product person, but I have a lot of problems and I have solved them. Not me, with friends. So if you need knowledge, it's not a one solution.
So Venkat, if we narrow down part of that, like how do you think about when to invest in hardware and AI?
So I think there's different aspects of it, which is what are you really building, right? Are you building a gadget that is trying to solve a problem? How you solve it is how much AI you put in or whatever it is, conventional machine learning, whatever it is, that comes secondary. First you have to decide why do you need a gadget in the first place, and then work back from that. So like these guys were talked about, first figure out what's the problem you're trying to solve, and then look for the AI stuff and all that. All that is secondary. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
That's good. That's good. So focus. What's the problem? What's the impact you're creating, and then think about what.
Yeah, and also at the end of the day, what you prototype is most probably not what you're going to sell anyway. It's going to go through an evolution. So you just get started, build something, and iterate.
Awesome. Well, if you've ever donated money to anyone on GoFundMe or used a cell phone, you've interacted with technology that these men have helped form for all of us. So thank you very much for your insight and time.
Thank you, Mike, thank you, panelists, we appreciate it. One little housekeeping item, we have a hard stop at 7:45. Our hosts are so gracious. They've got a big meeting here tomorrow, so we want to wind it down. So enjoy libations. Thank you to our wine host, Lino, food, and thank you, ClickUp again. We appreciate it.